Imagine stepping into your backyard on a crisp autumn morning, the dew still clinging to the leaves, and reaching up to pluck a ripe, juicy apple from a branch overhead. Nearby, your fingers brush through fragrant herbs, grabbing a handful for your morning tea, while plump berries wait in the undergrowth and nutty treasures hide below the soil. All this bounty with barely a weed in sight and no daily watering chore after the first couple of years. Sounds like a dream? Fellow gardener, is the beautiful reality of a small food forest. You know how it goes these days. Life in Europe or North America keeps us rushing from one thing to the next. Between jobs, family, and trying to live a bit greener, who has hours every weekend to battle weeds in a traditional vegetable patch? That's why more and more of us are turning to food forests, those clever, layered, edible ecosystems inspired by nature's own woodlands. They're the ultimate in lazy gardening that actually delivers serious self-sufficiency. A food forest, sometimes called a forest garden, is a multi-layered planting system where trees, shrubs, herbs, and ground covers all work together like a young forest, but every layer offers something delicious or useful for your kitchen. Once established, it mimics the way nature grows food with almost no intervention. The soil gets richer each year, pests stay in balance thanks to biodiversity, and you harvest fresh produce from spring right through to winter storage crops. What makes this perfect for us in temperate climates? Whether you're in the cool, misty gardens of England, the variable seasons of the Midwest US, or the shorter summers of Scandinavia and Canada, a well-planned food forest thrives with minimal fuss. It saves money on groceries, cuts your carbon footprint, boosts local wildlife, and gives you that deep satisfaction of growing your own. In this piece, we're diving deep into how to create your own small backyard food forest, the laziest yet most productive path to year-round self-sufficiency. Let's talk about what a food forest really is and why permaculture principles make it so powerful. At its heart, it's a perennial-based system designed to look and function like a natural woodland edge, but packed with edible plants chosen for your table. Permaculture, that smart approach to working with nature instead of fighting it, is the backbone. Think no heavy digging that destroys soil life, polycultures instead of monocrops, and letting the system find its own balance over time. Unlike a traditional annual garden, where you till, plant, water, weed, and replant every single season, a food forest builds soil health naturally. Earthworms and microbes do the work. Companion plants deter pests and attract beneficial insects. And because most plants are perennials, you don't start from scratch each spring. The ground improves, moisture is retained better, and your workload drops dramatically after establishment. It's sustainable gardening at its finest, turning even a modest suburban plot into a thriving, low-maintenance paradise. Now, the magic really happens with the 7 layers of a food forest. This stacking system makes the most of vertical space and creates harmonious relationships between plants. In temperate regions like ours, we select hardy varieties that handle frost, rain, and occasional droughts. Starting at the top, the canopy layer consists of tall fruit and nut trees that form the backbone. Think standard apple, pear, plum, and cherry trees that can reach 15 to 30 feet. For nuts, walnuts, sweet chestnuts, and even oaks for acorns if you're adventurous with processing. These provide shade, structure, and the biggest harvests. In Europe, heritage apple varieties like Cox's Orange Pippin do wonderfully, while in North America, disease-resistant types like Liberty apples resist common issues. Plant them as the anchors, spacing them to allow light below. Below them sits the subcanopy or understory layer with smaller trees and large shrubs. Dwarf fruit trees are ideal here for smaller yards. Imagine compact pears or plums that top out at 8 to 12 feet. Add in hazelnuts for nutritious nuts, elderberries that turn into delicious syrups and wines, service berries with their early spring flowers and summer fruits, and mulberries that birds love but you can share. These fill the middle space, offering additional yields without competing too much with the big trees. The shrub layer brings in the berry bushes that many of us adore for fresh eating, jams, and freezing. Blueberries thrive in acidic spots and provide antioxidant-rich fruits. Raspberries and blackberries ramble nicely. Blackcurrants and gooseberries are tough as nails in cooler climates. Goji berries for something exotic yet hardy, and rose hips for vitamin C-packed teas. These lower shrubs create habitat for birds and insects while producing pounds of berries with little effort. Moving down, the herbaceous layer includes perennial herbs and vegetables that come back reliably. Asparagus spears in spring, rhubarb stalks for pies, comfrey for mulch and fertilizer, aromatic mints and oreganos that repel pests, perennial kales or collards, and globe artichokes with their stunning flowers and edible buds. These plants fill gaps, add flavor to meals, and many have medicinal uses too. The ground cover layer protects your soil from erosion and weeds while offering edibles. Strawberries make a delicious living carpet. White clover fixes nitrogen and feeds pollinators. Creeping thyme releases scent when stepped on. Nasturtiums with their peppery flowers and leaves that climb a bit, and low-growing comfrey patches. They keep the earth cool and moist, suppressing unwanted plants naturally. Underground, the rhizosphere, or root layer, gives us those hidden treasures. Jerusalem artichokes, also called sunchokes, yield crisp tubers great for soups, garlic and onions for flavor bases, potatoes in varieties suited to your area, horseradish for zingy condiments, and don't forget encouraging mycorrhizal fungi and even edible mushrooms like wine caps in the wood chip mulch. These utilize space below ground that would otherwise go to waste. Finally, the vertical or climber layer uses vines to climb up trees or trellises without taking extra footprint. Grapes for fresh eating or wine, hardy kiwis that handle cold better than you might think, hops for brewing, climbing beans for summer harvests, and scarlet runner beans with beautiful red flowers. In warmer temperate pockets, passion fruit can work, but stick to reliable ones like hardy grape varieties for most of us. These layers don't just coexist, they support each other. A canopy tree might host a vine, shrubs provide windbreaks, ground covers retain moisture for roots, and everything attracts pollinators and beneficials for a self-regulating system. Have you ever wondered how these layers interact in real life? In fellow gardeners' experiences across temperate zones, the canopy provides essential shade that keeps the ground cover from drying out during those hot July days in the US Midwest or rainy spells in Western Europe. For instance, planting comfrey in the herbaceous layer near fruit trees acts as a living fertilizer, its deep roots pulling up nutrients and then chopping it to drop as mulch. In the UK, many use native elder in subcanopy to attract birds that control aphids naturally. This interconnected web means your garden becomes a team effort, reducing your work while increasing yields and making every corner feel alive with purpose. The benefits for modern life in Europe and North America are huge, especially for busy folks craving self-sufficiency without the grind. Once past the initial setup, usually by year 3, maintenance is shockingly low. No more daily watering or constant weeding, the ultimate lazy garden. The plants create their own microclimates, holding moisture during dry spells common in summer heat waves, and the diversity means pest problems rarely get out of hand. Beneficial insects, birds, and even toads keep things in check. Pros include incredible biodiversity that brings songbirds and butterflies to your yard, making it a joy to sit and watch on warm evenings. Plus, the deep sense of security from knowing your plot feeds you through seasons of uncertainty. The cons might be the initial planning that takes some thought and a short wait for full production. But the pros far outweigh them, especially for self-sufficiency. Imagine preserving your own applesauce or berry jams from your plot. cutting store trips dramatically and knowing exactly where your food comes from with zero packaging waste. Yields can be impressive on small plots. A 500 square foot food forest might produce enough fruit, nuts, herbs, and veggies to significantly cut your grocery bill. Think baskets of apples for cider, berries for breakfasts, and roots for winter stews. Environmentally, it sequesters carbon, supports biodiversity in areas where monoculture farming has hurt wildlife, and reduces your reliance on imported produce. Mentally, there's nothing like wandering through your own mini woodland, listening to the buzz of bees, and feeling connected to the seasons. It's therapy with a side of dinner. Many gardeners share stories of how their food forest changed their outlook. One friend in the Pacific Northwest started small and now has a backyard that feels like a secret garden, providing for family picnics with almost no effort. In the UK, similar setups turn allotments into abundant havens during those drizzly summers. Getting started with your own small food forest is more straightforward than you might think, and the low-maintenance payoff is worth every bit of upfront planning. First, assess your space honestly. Note your climate zone. For temperate areas, USDA 5 through 8 cover much of the US and similar in Europe, with frosty winters and mild summers. Check sunlight patterns, as most layers need at least 6 hours of sun, though shade-tolerant options exist. Do a simple soil test. While food forests improve poor soil, knowing pH helps with plants like blueberries that love it acidic. Next, design simply using guilds, clusters of compatible plants around the central tree. For example, an apple tree guild could include comfrey below for mulch, nasturtiums as ground cover, garlic to deter pests, and chives for companions. Plan zones based on how often you visit. Put herbs near paths for easy picking. You don't need fancy software. Sketch on paper or use free online tools. Soil preparation is key but easy with no-dig methods. Sheet mulching is my go-to. Lay cardboard over grass or weeds, top with compost, then thick wood chips or straw. This smothers grass without digging, feeds soil life, and sets you up for success. In clay-heavy European soils or sandy US plots, this builds structure over time. For sheet mulching in detail, collect free cardboard from local shops, soak it to soften, layer it thickly over the area, top with 6 inches of compost from your bin or local sources, then finish with 8 inches of wood chips from arborists. A method that's transformed lawns into productive gardens in just one season for many in France or Ohio, giving the soil a head start that pays dividends in healthier plants and fewer weeds later. Choosing and planting comes next. Source from local nurseries for climate-adapted, disease-resistant varieties on dwarf or semi-dwarf rootstock for smaller spaces. Plant in autumn or early spring when dormant for best establishment in our temperate conditions. Space according to mature sizes, starting a bit closer but planning for growth. Add mycorrhizal inoculants to roots for better nutrient uptake. After planting, mulch deeply, 4 to 6 inches of organic material like wood chips around everything, keeping it away from trunks to prevent rot. Water thoroughly the first 1 to 2 years during dry periods, but even then, it's not daily. This establishment phase is the most work, but patience pays off. Keeping maintenance effortless is what makes food forests so appealing for self-sufficient living. The chop and drop technique is gold. When you prune or weeds pop up, cut them and leave as mulch right there. It returns nutrients to the soil on the spot. Prune lightly once or twice a year, mainly to shape trees and encourage fruiting, removing dead wood or crossing branches. After year 2, watering is rare because the system holds moisture like a sponge. Thanks to the polyculture, you rarely need sprays or chemicals. If aphids appear, ladybugs usually follow. For slugs in damp springs common in the UK or Pacific Northwest, encourage frogs with ponds or use copper barriers sparingly. Observation is your best tool. Walk through regularly, but it's more enjoyment than chore. In spring, focus on light pruning of shrubs to encourage bushy growth for better berry yields. Summer is for observing and chop dropping excess herbaceous growth to feed the soil during peak heat. Autumn brings harvest and heavy mulching to protect roots from freeze-thaw cycles common in North American winters. Winter offers quiet planning time while the layers rest under snow or frost. Expect a realistic timeline to set expectations. In year 1, focus on preparation, planting, and mulching. You'll see some growth but little harvest, except maybe quick herbs or strawberries. Year 2 and 3 bring initial tastes. A handful of berries here, some rhubarb there, as roots establish and layers fill in. By year 4 and beyond, it's abundance. Heavy fruit loads, perennial veggies ready for picking, and the garden largely cares for itself. Seasons bring variety. Early spring flowers and shoots, summer berries and herbs, autumn nuts and fruits, winter greens and stored roots. In cooler European climates like the UK, focus on frost-hardy berries and use mulch to insulate roots through wet winters. While in US areas with variable weather, choose disease-resistant trees to handle humidity swings, turning potential challenges into steady harvests. Of course, every gardener hits snags, so let's cover common mistakes to avoid. Don't overcrowd at the start. Plants need room to mature or you'll be thinning later. Choose varieties suited to your exact microclimate. A tender peach might struggle in Zone 5 without protection. Skimp on mulch and you'll fight weeds and lose moisture. Ignoring soil drainage can lead to root rot in wet winters. Start small if unsure. One guild can expand later. Troubleshooting common issues, like yellow leaves on shrubs, often points to nutrient imbalance fixed by chop and drop comfrey, while poor fruit set might mean adding a pollination partner tree nearby for better yields the following season. Throughout the year, adapt to temperate rhythms. In spring, enjoy asparagus and rhubarb while adding mulch. Summer means berry picking and monitoring for dryness. Fall is for harvesting apples, planting garlic, and heavy mulching for winter protection. Winter offers planning time and perhaps forcing some